sometimes we are forced out of places because we overstay.
And you feel like if I lose my job, we develop this idea of dependency, which we don't realize your identity is rooted to your job.
Isn't it interesting how it can be one person or one situation where it can cloud like everything?
Yeah, interruptions will happen. It doesn't matter how well you plan. It doesn't matter how meticulous you are, how wise you are, interruptions will happen. So having already a perspective that interruptions will happen in life, that's number one.
Okay.
But two is then realizing that although these interruptions happen, all right, they're not the be all and end all.
This is not the end of it.
You are simply being rerouted to another path. In a world that's so full of noise, we believe one of the most powerful things you can do is have a real conversation.
We're a father and daughter duo, 2 generations, 1 journey, exploring what it looks like to live life with a purpose, love deeply, and heal loudly.
Now, this space is raw, it's honest, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, but always is rooted in reality.
So if you're tired of surface level talk and you are hungry for something real, welcome. You are not alone.
This is Ignore My Rambles.
What up, how y'all doing, guys? My name is Anesu, Michaela, Mautsa, and I am joined with my co-host, or by my co-host.
And I am Siwa Lenton Mautsa. I am this young lady's pops, if you want to call it that. Yep.
And this is Ignore My Rambles. Welcome back. We haven't seen you in a long time. I know we've been promising since 2020, I think it was.
Is it that long?
That we will come back with our podcast. We're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
But obviously when time allows or when time aligns, then we can do certain things.
Yeah.
You know, and so we are finally back. I want to start off this episode by something that we call Ramble Roulette, right?
Okay.
And so we have got a jar of random questions we both haven't seen, and we're going to answer them. So each of us is going to answer this question, and then tell the people, tell the masses.
All right.
You know, our answers. Here we go. You can start.
Right. This one says, what's one blind spot you recently uncovered? Well, mine, surprisingly, is I thought I never ever used to stress.
Ooh.
Okay. And just generally, people told me that. My wife told me
chilled,
that
like
I'm
you're
generally
so
chilled. But I recently recovered that I do stress, but I'm really good at hiding that stress.
Okay.
So people don't usually see it, but I know within when I'm stressing.
Really?
Yep.
Sorry, just to go on from here, or just to pick up from that.
Yeah.
Internally, what is it that you feel? Do you know how to name those?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's when there's anxiety. So
anxiety.
when internally,
you're worried, you're
I'm
anxious.
anxious, and my mind tends to be thinking about
whatever
the same kind of thing over and over again.
Okay.
And that tells me that, hey,
I'm actually...
there's internal stress that I'm actually going through.
And then what do you do when you feel that way?
Well, I think for me, one of my coping mechanisms, it's very much linked to my faith, right?
Love it, okay.
So I have promises from God's word that I stand on.
Okay, can you share one for
Sure.
So,
So when I find I'm getting anxious, there's a powerful scripture in the Bible which says, do not be anxious about anything, but everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be made known unto God. And the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard
your hearts and your minds
in Christ
Jesus.
And so that's what I try and stand on. So if I catch myself, so the key thing is to catch yourself. When I catch myself stressing, then I quickly counter that. Sometimes you don't realize what's happening. Sometimes in the morning, you get up in the morning and your mind's already going. So when I catch myself, I'm very quick to try and stop it, change that thought pattern into a pattern that's more positive.
That's fire. Love it. Thank you for sharing.
Great.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, I'm going to take out mine. What's a lesson you learned the hard way that changed everything?
That's a good one.
Oh, I think the biggest thing for me is that I am not in control of everything. So I'm a typical type A personality. I like to have things planned. There's impatience that dabbles in there sometimes. Because I don't, I like to know what's happening, when it's going to happen, how it's going to look like. And I like to have control of the outcome. And that is my thing. What I learned is that some outcomes you cannot control. And this actually links to the episode theme of today, but some outcomes you can't control.
Exactly.
And so you are almost forced to surrender, which is a very difficult journey to be on. It's a very difficult thing to be forced to say, this is beyond my control. I will rest and I will be at peace with whatever outcome happens. So that changed everything. That lesson that I'm not in control of everything. There are times where I'm going to have to surrender, and that's okay too.
And that particular thing, I think being able to distinguish between what you can control and what you can't. That's also key to managing anxiety and so on, because sometimes we are anxious about things we have absolutely
no control over.
So key.
Fire. All right. So I just spoke about kind of the theme for today's conversation. And what we want to tap into, what we want to discuss today is life's interruptions. Okay, a lot of us get interrupted by life in various ways. And what I want to start by asking you, Father Pops, is what does interruption mean to you? What does that look like for you?
So for me, when we talk about life's interruptions, what we're really talking about is when something occurs unexpectedly in your life that forces you to change direction. Or forces you to change your plans. So it's totally unexpected, but it is of the magnitude that it makes you change something. It might be changing something internally. A lot of times it's changing things externally as well. Right? So career, loss of job, retrenchment.
There we go.
That might be one.
My life story. My life story. Okay. Okay. And what I want to find out is, what is an example of an interruption that's happened in your life? If you can think of anything. I know my example, but if you can think of anything that has potentially happened in your life where you got interrupted.
A couple, but I think maybe I'll leave you to do the career thing. Because
let me do the career. Let me cover the. I'll handle this one. So we'll leave you
for the career one.
But
I know one interruption for me that occurred was when I was very young, and I grew up in Zambia, so went to high school in Zambia. Really nice school where I kind of found myself there. That's where I became a Christian and a good group of friends. And we really held each other accountable, etc. And my plan at that point, when I was finished my O-levels, was to then, this was in Zambia, so it was a really top school. And when you finished, we all went to national service. And then from national service, because the kind of school was, most of us would end up going to mining engineering, got scholarships to go to the UK, etc.
Interesting.
So that was the plan or the intention. But what happened to me then was, unfortunately, one is they then said, no, your parents are not Zambian. So you are not Zambian, regardless of the fact that you're born in Zambia. So you can't actually go to national service. And in fact, you don't qualify then for these scholarships, etc. That was number one. Number two is that my dad decided, because I finished, it was in 1980, and Zim became independent. And Dad said, no, we're going back to Zimbabwe. And so, again, I was plucked out of this group where I had all these good friends, etc. And off I went to Zim. So it was a completely big shift in terms of my expectations in life, my plans.
I hear that.
So that was for me an interruption.
And how did that impact you? Maybe at the time, if you could.
I think at the time, one of the things I was really scared of, I prayed a lot about this. I was saying, God, when I move, if I don't have these friends around me, what's going to happen?
Who am I going to have? Who's going to be there?
Exactly. And remember, because these guys have been with them for a good 5 years, etc. Really solid relationships, and off I go. So that happened, but God gives you new friends. In fact, that move helped me Christian-wise because then I met a group in Zim, the navigators who discipled me and so forth. And of course, I had to go back to Zambia after O-levels. We went to university. In Zim, then I had to go and do my A-levels. So I had to find a new school, etc. In fact, I was a whole term late. And at one point, they were even scared to give me the subjects I wanted to do because they said, it's too late and those subjects are hard, etc., etc. But yeah, so completely different mapping of my life and talk about girlfriends, etc. That also changed, I guess.
Yeah, another episode for that one.
Another day.
Dating.
Exactly.
Okay. No, I hear
but
that.
I think it happened for the better. I mean, I don't know what I would have been, but I'm really glad for what happened and where I am now.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So my life's interruption was, I've had quite a number actually.
Yes.
I've had multiple interruptions, but really tapping into that, what you mentioned about careers. So last year, which was 2024, I got retrenched twice, not once, twice. 2 times, and prior to that, I had just bought my first apartment. So it was a big dream of mine to buy myself an apartment, right? And so I saved from 2020, I saved for this deposit. I had this dream, I had this plan. Oh my word, I finally got what I wanted. Okay. And I'm at this job and I like this job and it's great, you know what? And the year starts and then in April, the company then loses quite a number of clients and they had to let people go. And I was one of those people that they had to let go. So that was the first gut punch. And that was very hard for me. I tried to act like, okay, it's fine, I'm okay. But actually I was very scared as well. The anxiety around, okay, how am I going to pay for a mortgage now? Like houses are, these are big people problems now. I'm not thinking about my grooming, my nails, my hair. I've got a mortgage. I own the bank. You know what I'm saying? Then there's rates and there's levies, and all of these things. So that was the first gut punch for me. And eventually I ended up finding another role. Also loved the company. I'm still do. Like even both of these companies that I got retrenched from, I'm still on great terms with the owners of those companies. But the second company I got, great cause, great mission. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm doing this thing. Yes, I'm scraping through, but I'm managing to pay my mortgage, right? And my 30th birthday, which was last year, 3rd of October 2024. I was in Cape Town having the most lavish birthday I'd ever had in my life. And during that week of my birthday, I was told that they can no longer have me as an employee. They can't afford to keep me.
Oh dear.
That was when I was like, you know what? Whatever. Whatever. So that was a big, I think both of those double whammy was a big life interruption for me. And it's crazy how these are things, and this is why I spoke about control at the beginning. These are things that I had no control over. The economy is the economy. Exactly. Clients leave. This is what happens. This is business. This is the name of the game. But for some reason, I felt like I failed.
Yes.
Which is crazy to think about.
I know. Yeah.
So it was not only the stress around finances and paying for this and paying for that. It was kind of like, I'm 30 now and I don't got no job. I don't know what I'm doing in this life, So that was really tough for me. I think it took me a while to kind of come out of that. It took me a couple of months. I think I'm probably only coming out of that now. To be honest. But I was blessed enough to get a new role eventually in 2025 at the beginning of this year. However, after the second retrenchment, I did work myself into burnout. So that was also another thing that I noticed. Like how I handled that was, okay, I'm scared that I won't have enough money. So let me take on as much work as I can. Let me not sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I worked throughout. You were there. You watched me. The Christmas time, I'm busy posting and doing this and doing that. Because I'm like, I have to have my own back. I need to make sure I can pay my bills. I need to, and even that, and then I stumbled into the year fatigued and exhausted, but I'm still here. So that was my big interruption.
Anesu, that's great. I loved your story. But tell me, is there something about divine timing you think that occurs with some of these interruptions? What's your thought?
Thoughts around that? I actually do believe that sometimes we are forced out of places because we overstay. And I think we do that in relationships. I think we do that in friendships. We even do that in jobs. And yes, I understand jobs. It's a very tricky thing because yes, we need money. But I think that sometimes we use certain excuses to overstay.
Yes.
So with my previous role, I liked it. I was comfortable, and I really think that maybe God said it's your time here is done. Like you've done what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time to move on.
Yeah.
You can move on now. It's time for you to move, and sometimes that move looks like retrenchment, or that move looks like a breakup. That person says, "Listen, I don't want to be with you anymore," and that's the move. It forces you out.
Yes.
And I you know this. I actually have a story on this where the person I was dating 2022, the relationship ended, and the person ended the relationship with me. And despite the feelings of rejection and pain, it was like that. This person wasn't mine to have. This relationship wasn't mine to keep. It was time for me to move, you know? And so I really do believe that with some endings, or it really is divine timing. There's a purpose and there's a reason. And it's hard. I don't want to take away from the fact that it's hard, and your feelings around these things or these life interruptions are valid.
Yes.
Because it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, and remember when we say interruption, an interruption means it's kind of like it disturbs the flow.
Yes,
right?
It disturbs
the flow. And talking about that, because in my case, one of my other big interruptions was really from a career perspective.
Okay.
Also from a career perspective. And sometimes we develop this idea of we have a dependency, which we don't realize.
That's
you get what I'm saying?
That's fire.
So you become your identity is rooted to your job.
Yeah.
And you feel like if I lose my job,
who am I? Like, what am I? Yeah, what am I doing?
Exactly. And so those kinds of things happen. And in my case, I think I have two life interruptions. Career related.
Okay.
But I'll reflect on the one which happened many years ago, and I was flying in my career.
Okay.
I was flying, I was doing well, things looked really positive. I just come back from London, did really well in the UK, and and then I come back, and all of a sudden my boss is just criticizing everything I do.
That's very difficult.
I do a report and I give it to him to review, and it comes back with major comments and so on. And then one day he actually shouts at me in the corridor, right, in the office. And remember, and this is in front of PAs and
not
so
even
forth.
gonna lie. That is my biggest trigger. Actually, side note, sidebar.
Yeah.
The thing of calling someone out publicly.
Yes.
It's so humiliating. I think it's one thing shouting at someone, which is already disrespecting them.
Yeah.
But publicly, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And you can imagine. And I mean, by that time, I've worked with this guy for a good 8 years, etc. He was a difficult person.
Okay.
He was a difficult person. Everyone was surprised. How do you work with this guy? But somehow, for me, it was fine. But when he shouted me in the corridor, I mean, that's it.
You were like that.
I said,
I'm done with this. It's fine. It's actually okay.
Done. And straight away, I went and took my CV, put it to the agents. I went down to see the managing partner, and I told him, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm leaving, etc. And obviously he didn't want to. But the problem with shouting at people like that, it also kills their confidence.
Yes.
It kills their confidence. And I was beginning, and I realized that I was beginning to lose confidence. I mean, and here I am. Look, I've just come back from the UK, got a star award. It was called the Nectar Star Award because I'm on this project and it's going really well, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And then now I'm beginning to lose confidence because of what this guy says to me. This is just one person.
Sure.
Everything else, the evidence from everything else shows you're doing well. And then this one guy, because he's a guy who I directly report to, he speaks negatively to me, all of a sudden, I start losing my confidence.
Isn't it interesting how it can be one person or one situation which can cloud like everything?
Yeah.
It literally crowds out, like you said, you had the evidence.
Yes.
So there are many times in life we have the evidence of truth. We have the evidence of I'm actually doing well. I am performing well. But this one situation or this one person can literally just dim that light.
Exactly.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Shucks. Yeah. That's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean that resulted in, just cut a long story short.
Yeah.
Send my CV out. Managing partner said, no, we want you to stay. This guy is threatened by you, etc., etc. And I decided I wasn't going. But Deloitte, who I moved to later, picked up my CV.
Amazing.
And they called me for an interview, and I told them, no, I'm not looking to change.
So you actually decided to stay post that?
Yeah, I decided to stay.
Did the person's behavior change?
Well, no, but what then happened is that Deloitte picked up my CV, like I said.
Yeah.
They called me for an interview. I said, no, I don't understand the profession.
Yeah.
I want to go out.
Shift.
They said, think about it. Okay. Called me again a week later, and I didn't respond to them, but they called me still for another interview. And I told them, look, I'm not, but they just gave me an offer letter.
Yeah.
And I looked at the offer, it was good. Then I said, all right, if you pay me so much, I will come. And then they said, fine, done.
Oh, and then you moved.
And that's how I moved.
Okay, so you didn't have to deal with that character.
To thing. And of course, he was sad.
Did he ever apologize?
No, never. But we've been friends since.
Okay.
You know, but he never did apologize and say, you know. And I guess I never did tell him
it up
directly that, you know, you are the reason why.
But can I ask, if he ever stumbles upon this podcast and listens to this episode, do you think he'd know it's him?
I'm not even sure he would, eh?
He probably wouldn't clock it, because sometimes people do things and they don't even realize that.
Probably not.
I did this thing, or I said this thing, and it landed this way for this person.
Exactly. I mean, this
interesting.
This is 20-something years ago.
I mean, you know, something.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in your, I guess, from your perspective or from your well of wisdom, Father.
Sure.
How do we then now deal with life's interruptions? I know that I'm sometimes not the best at dealing with certain interruptions. I think there's some that I can manage, but there are others where I crumble into a pit of self-pity or all of despair. So, you know, how do we then start beginning to deal with them?
So I think the first thing is having the right perspective. Okay. That's number one.
Yeah.
Interruptions will happen. Interruptions will happen. It doesn't matter how well you plan.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter how meticulous you are, how wise you are, interruptions will happen. So having already a perspective that interruptions will happen in life, that's number one.
Okay.
But two is then realizing that although these interruptions happen, all right, they're not the be-all and end-all.
This is not the end of it. Like,
it's simply, you are simply being rerouted to another path.
Yeah.
Okay. Three is that many times it's never as bad as
you think it is.
Initially.
Yeah.
So when it happens, you think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? You know, when your thing occurred, oh, am I going to pay my mortgage? Did you ever miss a mortgage?
No.
You see?
No.
Exactly. So sometimes it initially looks crazy, looks difficult, etc. But many times it's not as bad
as we think it is. Yeah. Okay.
And I think once you begin to apply yourself, you always find, there's something else I can do. Oh, in fact, many times, I like to tell this story. You know, if you want to go up to the top of a mountain, the journey is never continuously uphill.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go up, you go down, you go, but slowly you're getting higher and higher and higher each time.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what happens. And if we have that kind of attitude towards life interruptions.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has happened. What can I learn from it? How can I grow from it?
Okay.
You know? And then move forward.
Yeah.
Then you find you're growing, you're getting stronger, you're learning new lessons, you're getting better in life. We don't grow in periods of luxury.
Yes.
When everything is easy. We never grow that.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Grow when you are rubbing, against something difficult, right?
Yeah.
When you rub against each other, you grow in terms of your relationship.
100%.
Okay? So we'll always grow through these difficult moments if our attitude is right.
Okay.
If our attitude is right. So mindset is always the starting point.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like what you said about mindset and about shifting your perspective. And I think to add on that, the narrative that you also align to whatever it is that you're going through. Sorry. So the words that you are saying to yourself in that season, those matter. And sometimes we forget about the words that we're saying over ourselves, right?
Yes.
And I tend to do that a lot. Like when I'm in a bad space, it's like everything is negative. And so everything that comes out of my mouth is negative.
Right.
You know, but that's not going to help me at the end of the day. No. That's not necessarily going to change that situation. And so I think tying into what you said, you know, shifting your perspective, but also aligning that narrative to the shifted perspective.
Exactly.
Shifting your narrative.
Yes.
Okay, what is the truth of what I'm going through?
Yeah.
You know, where's the evidence? I like to do this I used to do this with some of my coaching clients back in the day. It was called look for proof.
Yes.
And so what we do is, you know, they'll tell me like one of their self-limiting beliefs, right?
Yes.
But and a really negative one. And even the positive ones we do. And I said, okay, assign a percentage. How much do you think this is true? How much do you think is false?
Yeah.
Okay, then they assign. And then I say, okay, if you think this thing is 70% true, I need you to write down multiple reasons, all the reasons you can come up with that show me that this is true.
Yeah.
And then they realize that there's either a blind spot, or they realize that what they actually believe about themselves has nothing to do with the truth and is actually, you know. So aligning your narrative to this shifted perspective and then trying to walk in that. It is hard though.
Yeah. And you know, it's so important. What you're saying is so important because when you tell yourself negative things, you actually begin to look for the negative things.
You look for
to
evidence.
Confirm,
Confirmation bias.
What you're saying to yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's so unfortunate.
Yeah. Then you will find it.
Exactly.
If you look for it, you will find it.
You will find it.
Unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And likewise, you can imagine. So if I've gone through an interruption and I get so discouraged and I think I'm useless, guess what? I'm then not looking for opportunities, out there in the market.
Exactly.
I miss everything because I think, I'm useless, etc., etc. So that narrative, changing that narrative is absolutely critical.
Important.
If you are going to learn and grow from the interruption.
Okay,
Some people have said, every setback is an opportunity for
a comeback. I actually kind of like that. I like that a lot. That's real. Thank you for that. And to our listeners, we want to invite you to share some of your stories. What interruptions have you had in your lives? Okay, what changed you? What did you learn? What broke you? What built you? We want to know. So if you have a story, please email ignoremyrambles@gmail.com. And we'll discuss it. We'll reply, and also follow us on IG, Ignore My Rambles, @IgnoreMyRambles. You'll probably find us on every social media platform. Once launched.
That'll be awesome.
And we would love to hear
It'll be great to hear from you.
And just to wrap up this episode, what we want to introduce is a 10-second truth. So you're going to have 10 seconds, Dad, and I'm going to have 10 seconds to share a truth, to leave our listeners with something that empowers them.
Okay, I'll give you a quick one. Interruptions will happen, but they're never as bad as they seem. You can learn and you can grow from an interruption.
Fire.
What's yours?
Hey, that time. I think it is okay to go through a rough time.
Yes.
It's okay. It's normal that we go through tough seasons.
Yes.
But just don't stay there.
Exactly.
Don't unpack. Don't take out your tent and unpack there. You can't afford to do that. Okay, so it's okay. It's valid. Your feelings. You're allowed to be mad, to cry about the interruption, to be upset about the interruption. Just don't stay there. That is my 10-second truth.
Lovely.
To everyone and all of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of Ignore My Rambles. To many, many more exciting episodes ahead.
Great. We look forward to hearing from you as well. Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers.